heart attack, fast fatal heart impact, past painful scars. In fact, I blast tasteful bars and pass. I back up my actions, fact don't ask, grab reactions, jacked, attack with every word, then act with class as they hear me snap. I got nothing to lose, cause I fought and felt the bruise. Now I'm not the one confused, call the shots and they produce. I ain't lost, I'm finally loose, pick a new silver juice. I need the views to boost me to a new abuse of being used. Everybody wants a piece now, y'all can rest in peace now. You're dead to me, so peace out. Remember, you're discreet out. Get ready for defeat now.
Alrighty. Hello everybody. This is Kirusho here, and now let us begin this Kirusho Minishot. I will state one thing first. People do seem confused by how I may do this story. How exactly this can change with My Hero Academia and Dragon Ball Z, or Dragon Ball Z Kai. I have thought of particular things about it, I will say that. And I've even thought of its own custom little storyline, if you don't want to have it put that way. But at the same time, I feel like just doing a mix of the two would be good, and it kind of would be interesting. But let's just keep it at that. And for the mini shot, let me give you guys a good idea as to what this series may entail, or may include. Now, let's just hop right into it. We start with Izuku Midoriya. In this world, in this day, he found out that he was quirkless. And yeah, he was kicked out of at home. He was a very young child at the time. And after being taken in by an orphanage, or even at least some people, they eventually all would do the same thing. They find this kid who they think he may have a villainous quirk, and they could use him for something. But it's just the same thing. Oh, no power, right out the door. Now, Deku, he had to get tricky and creative. Sometimes he would lie. Sometimes he'd explain to people that, oh, his quirk is too dangerous to use. And right there, whenever it came down to it, Deku got called out. He was put on the spot in moments where he should have used his quirk, but he never seemed to do so. And eventually it was revealed that he was quirkless, and he was beaten and then kicked out. Deku, he found that he was by himself. People didn't really seem to care. People just were valued or given a number based on their power. And Deku's number is 0. People don't see him as a person. Now, Deku, during his teenage years leading up to right before he got involved or into it with the Red Ribbon Army, a few things happened. Deku eventually joined a gang. And eventually, after getting respect and getting plenty of money, he started getting more confidence. He started having more ideas put into his head. He started stealing more and more valuable things. And eventually, during a job gone wrong, he pissed off the wrong people. They killed some of his friends who were in the gang with him. And Deku, he found that the only way to escape was to skip town and go to the next place over. However, after being followed there, Deku decided to do the one thing that would not only give him a layer of protection, but also give him a gun. He decided to join this thing called the Red Ribbon Army. At the time, he saw it as a way to be on a military base. Guys surrounded by guns, helicopters, and tanks. If anyone wanted to try and walk through the front door and touch him, they would basically need a full suit of armor and be able to withstand a nuclear blast. That was Deku's entire thought process with that. He was untouchable inside the base. And Deku, after going through training and everything to do so, he eventually was walking around the facility. Right now, he got stationed at a low-level position. He's walking around and doing basic patrol on the base. He finds it to be boring. And we actually do have where Deku, he is walking by a research lab. Him walking by as he does hear a few things inside. He hears the world of technology and many other things. As Deku, whenever he is passing by, he does hear a man start to shout and curse. The man walking out of the room as he has turned the corner. And he does actually look up to see Deku as he's walking down. Deku has seen that man before. The guy's got a name. What was it? The doctor? No, people called him something else though. What was his name? That'd be what Deku does think. As Deku does walk by the man actually somewhat turns to look at Deku for a second. He's noticing something quite strange. The dimensions he had for Android 17. Some of the technology, well, it did require adjustments and particular things to be removed. There was Deku's size and stature. A well, you know, suited young man. He's taller than 17. And even then, there's, well, the muscle on him. He's got to be quite a bit more physically stronger than him. Plus, if he's correct on the file with that one, that man has a record, isn't he? Interesting. Now, Deku, as he is on patrol, you do have where he does go on break. Eventually, one of his superiors informing him that the good doctor wants to have a word with him, and Deku goes to meet the man. As he's ambushed and knocked out. And we actually will cut to an unknown amount of time later for Deku. Right now, Deku, he's all fuzzy and hazy. And he does go to open his eyes. Him going to sit up, as he does feel strange. And he doesn't know what to really do. Deku, as he's looking around, he does notice that he's, well, stripped down to the bare essentials. The only thing he really does seem to have is a pair of underwear. And even then, there's, well, his body. It seems strange. Deku putting his hand down as he does go to stand up. The moment he actually does, though, he does have to try to calm himself down, or more or less try to steady himself out. Deku falling forwards and smashing onto the ground. As Deku, whenever he go to do that, he didn't really feel a lot of pain. However, when he does look down at the ground, when he went to go stand up, there's a hole in it. A hole where his knee was. But even then, the skin's not red. And, wait, what the hell? That'd be what Deku does think. As he actually does hear a voice. Somebody saying something as Deku turned his head. Looking directly at them as he does stare at the girl. Him looking kind of confused. Now, she does actually inform Deku as she's going to grab a pair of sweatpants and toss over him to get dressed. And that the doctor, he's going to show them off. What? Show us off for what? He wants to show exactly what we can do now. And this surprises Deku. He does take the pants. However, he does try to get a rundown from this woman. Maybe? She just seems to be very weird. She has, well, what's the best way to describe it? Red hair, kind of? Maybe? It just seems off. Deku, he does leave with the woman. As eventually Deku, him, a red-haired man, and a blonde girl are all standing there, with this lady in a lab coat. As the doctor, he's trying to inform members of the Red Ribbon Army, his superiors, of exactly what he's been doing. And this does surprise Deku. The man standing at the table, he actually does stare at Deku for a second, as he does look over to the man on his left, asking if that man right there is one of their, well, subordinates. And the man does turn his head and inform him that yes, he is. The leader of the Red Ribbon Army immediately getting a bit annoyed at Jiro, asking if he really thought that augmenting a soldier was the best option. And Deku was confused, stepping forwards, as he does ask what they are talking about with augmentation. And this actually is where the girl next to him, she does actually turn her head to look at him. She seems more surprised than by what Deku said. And Deku, he does turn towards Jiro, asking the doctor what the hell did he do to them. Hmm? I see. I thought the programming would have taken care of that. Hmm? What programming? Hmm? I see. Well, young man, you have become greater than human. Be grateful. I looked at your file. Powerless. You were now given a gift, and you will use it to crush the enemies of the army. Deku hearing that, him getting annoyed, stepping over to Jiro is just going to grab the old guy. Reaching outwards, grabbing him and going to pick him up. As Deku went ready to do that, he does find that this guy is surprisingly light. Him repeating, what the hell did he do to him? This being where the giant red-haired man is going to step forwards. Him grabbing Deku by his arm as he's going to pull it backwards and up. Deku actually turning his head and going to punch this guy as hard as he can. As whenever Deku did punch Android 16, this giant man in green armor, he got sent flying backwards through the wall. And he just kept going. And that was what surprised Deku and caught him off guard. He's standing there with his hand outstretched. And he's looking at this massive hole he just made. And he does see something out in the distance. He sees this robot, or the guy. He's still going. And this is where Dr. Gero does inform his superiors that that is exactly what he's been capable of doing. And that Android 17, he's made phenomenal progress and is adjusting to his augmentations as such. The man is still annoyed that he used a soldier. And Deku, he does turn, asking what this guy did to him. And the girl, she actually does step forwards and open her mouth, asking exactly why he did it to her as well. Deku looking towards her. As the doctor, he's given a stern look by his superiors. The man informing his boss that he can fix this, he just needs to do a few little things. And that for right now, this was just to show off the progress. And that Phase 2 will be enabled once he takes them back to the laboratory. And you do actually where Deku, he does stare at Jiro, as he does ignore the fact that 16 just came flying back in and landed on the ground. Him only being aware of that whenever he does hear the voice in turn. As 16 does inform Dr. Gero that Deku, or Android 17, is performing at over 2.7 thousand times original operating power. And that right now, he is, if he does calculate it correct, currently able to output a force of over 100,000 tons. And that does catch Deku off guard. And Jiro, he does actually look at the surprise on his superior's face. If they have an entire force like Deku, they can take over the world. This entire base, if it was augmented, could take over the planet. That thought alone turns this commander immediately towards this project, telling Jiro to proceed and to do so immediately. As Jiro, he actually does turn towards Deku. And Deku, he does do one simple thing. He does get a turn, going to grab the wrist of this girl as him and her, they do start running. Deku doing so at a blinding speed that Jiro and the commander, they don't see. Only the two robots and androids inside the room can. Deku immediately ran for the giant hole in the wall and leaped up into the air as he was just trying to think. Right now, it's weird. He doesn't know what to do, and their best bet is to just run. Okay, so if he can punch hard, then maybe he can, well, hopefully he can jump high. And hopefully he's durable enough now. That'd be what Deku does think. As whenever he did jump, he just kept going, and going, and going. As he realizes that he's not just jumping. This isn't just some really long bend and jump. He's flying. He can turn. He can move through the air. And this catches him off guard, as he does look back to the girl and see her. She has just as much surprise on his face as he does. And for right now, that's all he can really say or do. And this short-lived rebellion, it is quickly extinguished. Their idea of just simply running right now, going to a town to hide, it stops. Because of one simple thing. Dro, he presses a button. As not only do Deku and 18 go falling out of the sky, you do actually have where their systems do lock up. Deku actually falling through the air as he's trying to at least gain his bearing. He can't move his neck, and right now his legs and arms stop responding to him. However, he's still holding on to this chick. Him and her to go smashing into the ground, very hard. As Deku, he smashes through a few trees, and he thinks he hits a big one. And, well, 18, she's not too far behind. These two, they do both lay there in the middle of the forest. As their trackers are pinging, and Jiro does actually ask 16 to go retrieve them. Since not only does that show their capabilities as well, but it does show what a military force could do against the androids. This being where Deku, he does try to talk to 18. He can still move his mouth, so he's guessing that that might not have locked it up, or whatever is going on to them. He learns that this girl and him, they do somewhat come from a similar background. She was offered something by the doctor, and, well, she just remembers going to meet him. However, that's the last thing she does remember. Her and her brother went to go meet this strange guy for a job, and then they disappeared. She never saw him again. And Deku, he does describe that he went to go meet the doctor as well. However, he actually worked for the Red Ribbon Army, and he was a new recruit. And they do eventually lay here. It does take a few hours, but the covert operation of going to retrieve them and load them up to somewhere, yeah, it does get underway. They don't really want a flying man to be spotted around the area, especially heading back to a Red Ribbon military base. So, teams are sent out with 18, or teams are sent out with 16, and eventually the two androids are recovered and put back into their pods, as Phase 2 will commence. And Izuku Midoriya, he does have one thought go through his mind. They are both victims of a mad scientist. He'll kill the man. He'll kill the man. He's going to kill the doctor. He's going to kill the doctor. These thoughts of rage quickly go away, as slowly but surely they're replaced with a new program. Now, you do actually have the next time Deku, he does somewhat become more aware of his surroundings. Things have been blurry and hard to understand and really see for Deku. At this point, he doesn't know what's going on. It's just been blurry, and it feels more like he's walking through... He doesn't know how to describe it. Like it's walking through jello. That's what his thoughts feel like. This being where he actually does realize he's holding up his hand. And right now, he's currently showing off his destructive powers. Deku, he's actually blasting off against an entire military offense. A place came to attack the Red Ribbon Army base, and they quite literally laughed their asses off whenever only 17 and 18 were standing at the gates to protect the base. Nobody else was there. Oh, yeah, it was going to be difficult and hard, but the base didn't even send out aircrafts. In fact, they have a full view of everything. The men are standing outside, and they are all watching the demonstration of it happen. Now, Deku holds up his hand, as he does send a large blast through the air, as he does sweep it from left to right, that it just blows away all the helicopters. Deku, his eyes do go wide, as he does realize what he just did. All those men have been killed. And the amount of power he just did. He just wiped out 50 aircrafts with the sweep of a hand. And there actually is 18. Deku, he can't see it, but he sees a hand out of the corner of his eye. It coming up and blasting in a straight line as the army, yeah, in just one swift blow, a third of it was wiped out. And then the next, the entirety of the force that was in front of them. Tanks, vehicles, soldiers with guns. It's just, they were all wiped out. And Deku, he does look down at it for a second. It does take him by surprise, but in his peripheral vision, he can look down at his clothes. They're tattered and, well, worn to high hell. He can see bullets on the ground. So, something clearly happened. Did he only become conscious because of some sort of pain or hit? Is that it? No, that couldn't have been it. But everything else has been feeling like jelly up until now. So why? Deku actually going to turn around, as he does look up and see the good doctor. The doctor informing 17 and 18 that both of them are doing well, and that for right now, he believes it would be best if they undertook an operation to destroy that military force. So, they can do that and then they will proceed onto the primary target, once things have become fully operational, and their augments do go through a final test. Now, this is actually where Deku, he does feel anger rise in his heart, and he does feel it in his body. This being where he actually does have his left hand clenched into a fist, and he does try to raise it upwards. As whenever Jiro does look down, he does see Deku's hand. It's slowly raising up, and Deku, he's just trying with all his might. He's trying to bring up his hand to say something, but it's just moving slowly and near to robotically. It's kind of amusing to Jiro. He doesn't know what 17 is doing. However, he quickly does order him to stop, as Deku's arm does freeze. Now, this is actually with a good doctor. He does decide that that will be enough for right now, and that they'll go through one last trial to make sure that his code is running properly. Now, with that being said, I do hope you guys enjoyed, and have an amazing night. I'll catch you guys in the next mini shot.